Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us at the Dagger community call today. We have lots of folks on the call, so it's going to be a fun time as we talk through some of these topics. So if it is your first call, we're just going to go through quick reminders. So we are streaming live right now on YouTube, Twitter, and actually LinkedIn too, because I think Nipuna has some friends watching from LinkedIn. So we're streaming all those places. If you are watching on the other platforms, it is sometimes a little bit blurry. So YouTube is the best and clearest way to watch us today. And that's a place that you can also add some live comments that we'll be watching throughout the show. But if you're also on our Discord, we use our Discord general channel during this call as well. So if you have any comments that you put in there, we'll be watching that and addressing any of them live on the show too. And if you're not in our Discord already, this is our shameless plug to do so. That's where we're talking all day, every day about everything Dagger, about all things pipelines. So come in there and join us, and that we can continue the conversation after the call. And if you want to be on these calls and talk about a topic that you have, feel free to DM me on Discord, and I'm happy to get you on the agenda. And we also have some upcoming events. Not only are we talking at these every 2 weeks virtually, but we have a bunch of people doing things in person. Gift City is actually doing a meetup, I think tomorrow, which is awesome. So if you're in that area and want to join, please do so. It's on our events page. And then we will actually be at Cloud Native Rejects, App Developer Con, KubeCon, all those good things next week. We'll be there. So if you're going to be in town for those, please stop by our booth and say hi. We also have some folks joining AWS reInvent. So if you're going to be there, we'd love to say hi to you as well. We will not have a booth there though. So if you want to, meet up with us specifically, please just let us know in Discord and we'll make sure to connect you with the right folks. And now let's talk about who is on our panel today. Perfect. So who do we have here? Nipuna, you're one of our Dagger commanders, but you want to share a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be sharing with the world today?
Sure. I'm Nipuna Pereira. I'm a Director of Cloud Engineering at Fidelity Investments in the US. And I will be sharing my experience with running Dagger inside a big enterprise, as well as some challenges that we've been facing and how to overcome some of them.
Awesome. And we also have Gurkham here too.
Yeah, so I am the CTO of Jozu, and we have recently released three Dagger modules to Daggerverse, and today I'm going to talk about those. We do provide platform engineering tools for AI and ML ops. So we'll see in the demo what they're about.
Awesome, sweet. And Brad, thanks for joining us today too. You want to say a little bit about yourself?
Thanks. We can go quickly. I'm the CEO of Jozu, so all the stuff that Gorkum said applies to me too. I'm really just here, I guess, for emotional support in case there are some questions from folks.
Oh, that's us too. We're here to enjoy the party.
Yeah. And for those who are, thanks for being here today. We appreciate it. And
thanks for joining.
Who are super new, or maybe it's their first community call, first time with Dagger, Solomon and Jeremy, who the heck are you guys?
Jeremy, who are you? I know who I am.
What? Oh, well, this morning I am feeling myself. So yeah, I'm Jeremy. I'm Jeremy as usual. I'm the head of ecosystem at Dagger. So means I work with a lot of the folks in the community and partners and like these fine folks at Jozu who are part of the Dagger partner program and have made some cool module and some awesome blog posts. And I can't wait for the demo. But I also get to interact with folks in the community like Nipuna. And so super excited to be here and learn more and interact with everybody.
Our main job really is to react to the awesome demos here. That's what
That's true.
Oh, damn. Wow. Did that really happen?
Yeah. And on that note, I think let's get started with some, Gorgo, I think you had a sweet demo with lots of modules. Let's pull up your screen. Let's add that to the stage. There we go.
Okay.
little
Yeah.
inception.
Alright.
We got it going on. Perfect.
All right. So, well, before I do the demo, I guess I need to give you a little bit of a background information on what we do.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah,
Gorkum,
we do
sorry,
have-
can you pull your mic closer or speak a little louder? You're kind of quiet.
Yeah,
Is
it'd
it
be perfect.
better?
Oh
much
yeah.
better.
Yes, much better. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. So a little bit of background on what we do. Let me just switch to my other browser tab so that we can talk about it. I just don't need this one, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So what we do at Jozu is we provide platform engineering tools for AI and ML. One of the I guess early projects that we have created is GitOps.ml. It's an open source project that essentially introduces an OCI artifact that can be used to package AI and ML artifacts into OCI registries. So what you see here is our own registry, and you can see that there are a bunch of what we call model kits in here. And when we go to a model kit, you can see that there are different contents that you can have in a model kit, including your code bases, your models, and if you look into the details, your weights for your model. This is actually you can actually just package any AI ML related artifact into a model kit. So one of the things that we had to do when we created our modules was we had to actually get these base models from their suppliers, right? It's like, and usually what they do is they actually put these models into Hugging Face, and then and people use it and repackage it and use it from there. So one of the early work that we did was actually to use GitHub Actions to package base models like the Llama 3s and mixed RALs and so on and so forth. So pretty much everything that you see here from Hugging Face into model kits and publish them in this repository. Our first implementation was, of course, it was a lot of, and I can't really stress a lot there, was a lot of shell scripts. And after a while, it started to get really, really frustrating for us because you cannot really test GitHub Actions locally. So we were looking for something that would give us more stability. There are a few tools out there that actually tries to emulate GitHub Actions locally, which they don't. So, and then by luck, we actually bumped into Dagger, and we said, okay, let's give this one a try if this is going to help us a lot. So our first motivation was to create some modules for ourselves so that we can use our CLI from GitOps.ml project to package, unpack, push our model kits into our hub. While we were doing that, we also implemented a module for interacting with Hugging Face and another module for converting some of these models into the GGML GGOF format for easier consumption. So,
Gorkum, so you're, and when you say modules here, you're talking about Dagger models,
models,
right?
Yeah, Dagger models. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
Damn.
Can't wait to see. Do you have them on the other tab? Or do they happen to be like hiding there? I'm just so
yeah, so they are here. So this is the kit one. Yeah, this is our CLI, which is our which manages our OCI compliant packaging format. So essentially, you can store a model kit in any registry, like Docker Hub or I don't know, GitHub packages.
oh, nice.
Another one is Hugging Face. Just search for that. So this is the one that we have used for interacting with the Hugging Face for downloading repositories or files if when we need to. And another one, we called it GGov. And this one basically just takes a directory with model weights on some other format like TensorFlow or whatever your poison is, and turns that into a Giga format. And you can also do quantization of the model. That's how we actually manage the. Let's go back here. So if we go back here to this model, you will see that there are many different versions of it, and then you can see that they are labeled or tagged to be different quantizations. So this is how we manage our registry. We have a bunch of GitHub Action jobs that are using these modules to download from Hugging Face, create quantizations, convert them to GGov or other formats depending on how we get them, and then package them as model kits and push them to the repositories. We also use the kit commands or the kit module to check for updates and also sign our model kits as well. So if we go back here, you can see that most of these are, well, all of these are actually signed models. And
so one of the things that our user base tends to do with this, and part of why the Dagger modules I think are exciting, is because it makes it so much easier for them to do this. A lot of companies, don't want to necessarily let the engineers use whatever model they want or whatever data set they want from Hugging Face. There's often a kind of curated set that are kind of approved and okay. And so it makes it a lot easier if they can just have a pipeline that says, hey, there's a new version of whatever curated data set, pull that in, create a model kit for it. That becomes an immutable object, so they know it hasn't been tampered with or messed with. They can even sign that, post it to their container registry. And of course, that's where people go to get stuff to build their dev anyway. It just makes it super simple. So it's kind of exciting. These three things kind of fit together really nicely. Grab from Hugging Face, build the model kit, grab from Hugging Face, convert to GGov, and then build the model kit from there. So.
Yeah, and I think we should actually say that when we first initially implemented these modules, we actually didn't have any intention of publishing them. What happened is when we started talking with customers, as Brad mentioned, they actually wanted to be able to do this. And of course, nobody actually uses, they do, but most people use Jenkins in their CI/CD pipelines, unlike the popular belief. Therefore, Dagger provided us a way to give them a very quick solution to use model kits internally on their CI/CD pipelines as well.
Oh, and so you drop a sort of a Dagger powered integration into their Jenkins configuration, their existing Jenkins, for example.
Yeah, that's exactly what we try to do.
Nice.
Like they are trying to do, let's say.
That's awesome. And you can use it, of course, because it'll run anywhere. You can do in GitHub Actions or Jenkins or wherever your customers are at. That's very cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what we actually thought about it as well. With like, let's meet where the customers are, and this was the shortest distance to get there.
Is there a feature that was missing, or something in the process of setting this up for your customers that you wish Dagger had, or
Yeah, there are actually, right? It's like we deal with really large files, so it because you're running everything in a container, essentially in some cases you're running them in a VM. You need to have enough storage attached to those. So that was, I don't think that's essentially a Dagger problem, but the Dagger documentation at least doesn't talk about that much.
I see that it's because it's containers under the hood. You got to deal with they're normal container problems, but they do exist, and you got to know they're there.
Yeah, they are there. Right. Yes, when you're using Dagger, you're not, for the first time, you don't actually, you may not actually notice that as well. Yeah. It's like it's a regular container problem, but until you realize that, oh, it's a regular container problem, and I can solve it as a regular container solution, then it takes time to get there. We didn't have too many people who were doing heavy training with Dagger. I think that would be the other part of it, where you have access to GPUs and so on and so forth. But our experience with that is a little bit limited. But I have a feeling that there is some missing information similar to the storage, right? The usage with GPUs as well.
Yeah. I mean, we were just talking about that yesterday. Actually, there is a way to get GPUs in the container and use them in a Dagger pipeline, but it's definitely not you need to do a few detours. There's a few things you need to know that I think are hard to find in the docs at the moment.
Yeah, I think on our last community call, or maybe it was a little bit before that, we realized we need to work on the documentation. We actually started a thread in our Discord on the general channel called GPUs.
Right.
So if anyone wants to have examples that you want to see from us, or like specific things, it helps us to know those purely so then we can work on documentation and make sure we're getting that type of content to all of you. So thanks to everyone who's already added a bunch of feedback on there.
Yeah, we wanted a thread title that was subtle,
I mean, one of the things that we actually thought about was, but they were really acted on, was when you're doing your pipelines, we are training data extraction, cleaning, and training pipelines. People either write those as part of a notebook, which is the worst practice. And the best practice is essentially have some Python scripts that people develop for these different stages of their MLOps pipeline. One of the things that we discussed, can you actually automate some of those or all of those? Because you already, essentially data scientists have those scripts in place, and they know Python, and Dagger actually provides Python as well. So would that actually make it easier for them to adopt a pipeline that can be used more generally? But I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I think there is some merit to it, but on the other hand, I have my doubts about being too much container specific as well with the data scientist.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a subset of the Dagger community that is pushing for that. That wants Dagger to be applied more generally to more pipelines than just the CI pipeline. To be honest, it's kind of it's a dilemma for us, because it is a general purpose engine. Everything that's a DAG, you could run a Dagger in theory, but that's hard to package in a very simple story. And so it is. CI is very simple. It's just two letters.
It is. And most of the data scientists that we have worked with are not very happy with dealing with anything Docker as well. And it's just their experience is not on that. So like they are
Yeah.
happy with notebooks, and outside notebooks, it starts to get a little bit more resistance.
I think that's a really interesting part, because maybe containers have to come to them, maybe the container platform containers are not the problem. It's just a very specific design of a very specific way to do containers that hasn't moved in 10 years, right? We came up with it and it was cool and exciting.
So,
but it hasn't changed that much since, right? And maybe it's not, that design is not universally applicable.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. And this is something that we did. Well, this is not actually part of our Dagger demo, but one of the things that we did was when you actually push a model kit to our registry, behind the scenes, it actually creates a container that you can just pull. And that container is available to you immediately, because essentially what it does is it just changes the manifest of the base container with the model bits from the model kit. So it's funny that you said that, it's perhaps the containers should come to them. And this was one of our ways of saying that, hey, you know what? You don't ever need to deal with a container. You just do your thing and run the kit pack command, and that's it. So that was one of our ways. And this is a very convenient way of actually serving your models. We did this for inference microservices. So it's a very convenient way of serving
that makes
your
perfect
models
sense to
in
me.
Containers. Yeah.
And I think it applies to the rest of the pipeline that's going to surround that key component that is the model, right? There's just a lot of stuff around this, a lot of glue, and a lot of pipelines, and those pipelines, I think, would benefit from being containerized also. It's just that you can't just stick the whole thing into a Docker container, right? Yeah. You can do it with the model, and you guys are pushing that, which I think is great. Yeah. And I guess we'll follow the lead of that part of the Dagger community, asking us to come in and help them containerize the glue around it. It can't be monolithic. I think that's where the blocker is right now. Like it's not that they love having Python glue that's not repeatable. No, it's just that it's got to be code, right? So
yeah, and
ideally, if they can get the best of both, that'd be great.
Yeah, right. It's some great motivation for us too to produce even just the next little bit of documentation and examples, right? And like your blog post and this demo help a lot with that. But just a little bit more to help the next person that comes along to try a new experiment and push us forward.
Kind of makes me want to make another Dagger module that exposes that last part that you showed, like just that model as a container.
Turning model into a container kind of thing.
Yeah, that's one Dagger function, literally replacing the Docker run with a single Dagger call, and then you plug that into the rest of your pipeline. Yeah, makes me want to play with that. Guess I'm going to play with kits and more.
You're welcome. We do accept PRs.
Okay. That's good, because the Dagger team was just saying, please make less PRs. So I'll go and
put your energy elsewhere.
Okay, I don't know what I have done now.
Be careful what you wish for.
So I have a very short demo, and the kit module is very, very straightforward. But this is something that I want to show that is very unexpected. That you will see. Look, we weren't expecting this benefit of using Dagger, so I'll just show that because it surprised us. Okay. So when you're using, I'm just gonna go to my earlier command. because I don't want to just type stuff here. So basically, you can just go to the Daggerverse, copy the Git hub repo and all that, and then call the unpack command from. And before we do that, let's do my favorite. And you can see that we have a bunch of commands here, like the pack, unpack, and tag, and very similar to Docker commands, right? So one thing that you can do is to call the unpack command, which if I can.
And we should call out, Gorka is calling this module right from GitHub. So you don't even need to have this module locally, which is really cool.
Yeah. So it takes a reference. A reference is like a Docker image reference, right? So I'll just use this one. So I'll copy this. So if I do this 2 times, it will just copy the reference and not the full command, like not the kit command. We have an Easter egg there.
That's a nice. Yeah, we might emulate that. That's nice. Cool.
So, wait, what was it? I missed it.
If you double click on the copy button, it has different behavior.
So
the first time it does the full command, and then the second time it grabs just the reference and not the actual kit command and flags. So if you need to kind of just paste the reference in, it's a super fast way to get there.
Wonder how many iterations in Figma for that. Iteration number 9. Okay.
No, it was just enough complaints to the UI designer, and that's it.
Fine, I'll do it. Okay.
So
please continue.
What this one is going to do, it actually returns a directory, a Dagger.directory object, which you can extract. So I'm going to just start this just so that we can see it is slow. But I won't let it finish. And you can see that it's going for 10 minutes and so on and so forth. And the reason for that is it's actually downloading a 5.5 gigabyte model at this point. And this is, I never run with this model before, so this is new. So I'll just kill this one for now and go for another model, which I have run before and exported. So, but now it's not exported anymore. So let's see that I don't have it. I'll just rerun this command here. And as you can guess, and I didn't do anything special, and the Dagger module that we are using is not actually doing anything special, right? It's just the Dagger itself that basically gives us this super caching. And this is a 3 gigabyte model. And running it again, look how fast it goes, actually. Right now, the unpacking actually just finished. All it is doing is just exporting the directory right now. Like the Dagger unpack has already done. So imagine we are doing this for over 60, 70, a growing number of model kits every day. Every 4 hours, it goes through our list of models and then checks certain changes, compares them with Hugging Face. So the amount of time we have saved by just doing this is incredible. That basically surprised us when we first saw.
Cache by default.
Cache by default, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Sam, my co-founder, playing with an AI pipeline with Dagger sometime last year and running to the same thing. Like, wow, you could really, the caching feature, just kind of, you just drop it in and it works as expected for even artifacts that we didn't really plan for, because it's just another directory or container image. I guess you using OCI for everything really helped.
Yes, exactly. We are using OCI for everything, and we are able to essentially do a lot of our comparisons by just doing digest comparisons without even downloading everything.
Oh, I see.
So
nice. It's a great fit.
Uh,
Is this an OCI? Are you using strictly existing standard annotations for OCI, or is it your own format on
So-
top of OCI? Do you and are you trying to push that as a new standard? Like, what's your approach to that?
Yeah, so it's not a. It's basically depends on the OCI standard, but we do have a specification. It's an OCI artifact specification. So what it does is it actually just defines media types for different
Right.
layers, and the thing that we are able to do with this is we can actually access each layer directly, because each layer of a model kit has its own content type. The advantage of that is our data sets can be gigabytes or terabytes of data. Our models that needs to be associated with that can be gigabytes of data as well. So when we are doing unpack, we want to be able to unpack only the data set, only the model kit, only the data set, but only the data set with label evaluation data set, so that we just run the evaluation tests. So that's why we wanted to be able to access the layers of a model kit separately. And that's why we came up with these media types. But other than that, everything else is just your good old standard OCI.
Yep.
Well, as good as the OCI standard is, OCI standard.
And to your other point, Solomon, I mean, we have been really excited because our goal in doing this was to try and create an actual open vendor neutral standard for packaging AI ML apps, because there wasn't really anything out there. And that we're excited because it does seem like that's exactly where this is going. And I think partly because we were able to stand on the shoulders of giants with the OCI spec as it is. So we're not trying to create something brand new. We're not trying to push something else down people's throat. It's just saying, hey, you're already using this as a standard across so many of your other technology sets. Let's just adapt it so that it fits perfectly to AI ML, and
Makes sense.
I mean,
Makes perfect sense.
We got signing attestations provenance problems. We are not even thinking about that, for instance, because those are actually solved problems with OCI.
Yeah, this is awesome. And if people want to get started, so Jeremy, I think you already posted a blog post, which is awesome, from your team about how to use all of this. So I guess that would probably be the best resource right now. And then also going to this module that we're showing on the screen, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 of them, so you can even just type Jozu into the search, and you'll get all 3. Here they are.
I'm playing with it right now.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I wasn't aware of this. There you go.
How do I get a cool logo on my modules? How come they have a cool logo and I don't?
Partners.
I want to be a partner. I want to be a Dagger partner.
I'll send
Can
you.
I put anything in the logo? Can I put any image I want?
Very lightweight. I have to ask one just kind of off-topic question, maybe, but is Jozu from like Japanese for like highly skilled?
It is exactly that. Yeah, that's right.
Very nice.
Cool.
Nicely done.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for being on this call and showing us. That's really excited. If people are looking at these modules and you're using them and you've found them to be awesome for yourself too, we are really excited to hear about it. So again, Discord's the best place to just plop in your experience, or if you have feedback on all of these, Discord again is the best place too, and we'll make sure that both teams get that feedback so we can improve these modules for you. So thanks again, both of you. And I think a good segue, actually, since we were talking earlier about, getting people to understand containers, and there's actually like some education before even getting into some of these tools. I'm excited for Nipuna's talk, because it's actually a perfect transition to that of, kind of using Dagger in enterprises. And the education you have to give on those big corporate environments too. So Nipuna, did you want to share your screen, or actually I don't see your screen.
I'll just set the stage, and I'll share my screen. I want to say I don't have a cool demo.
Oh, listen, we see your
But
StreamYard studio.
yeah.
Oh,
I
sorry.
haven't
One sec.
shared
Oh,
it
let
yet,
me
so
remove
that's
this.
probably why.
There we go. That's my bad.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say I think I was talking to Miranda yesterday. I was saying like I've probably been to all the all these community calls, but I've never participated. So this is my first time. I'm Nipuna, and I want to preface like by saying I don't have a cool demo like Gorkum did, but I want this to be conversational. So feel free to ask questions and just interrupt me anytime you want. And with that being said, let me share my screen. You want me to share the entire screen? Yeah, my I have some slides, but it's just text. Nothing awesome. No pictures.
I expect though. I'm guessing there's going to be like some cool stories, Nipuna, because I just have to say Nipuna has been in the community for a while now, like from kind of an OG in the Dagger community, and has been fighting this good fight of getting Dagger in a corporate environment for some time. So I want to hear, good, bad war stories. I'm excited. Anything you're bringing today, I'm sure is going to be really interesting. So I'm all ears. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. This won't be my last one, but I'll have I don't have like special stories prepared today, but but I'm sure stuff will come out from what I'm going to talk about here. But definitely happy to share my experiences.
We still remember all the things you complained to us about, so if that helps.
Yeah.
I've got the list right here, Nipuna, if you need it.
Yeah, I know. I'm going over some of that here. So just as I mentioned earlier, I'm a director of cloud engineering at Fidelity Investments, and I started off as a developer, as probably most of us did, and pivoted into being more of a DevOps and platform engineer. As we were saying, I've been around for a while, and I'm based off of here in Fort Worth, Texas, but originally born and raised in Colombo, Sri Lanka. So I don't know if there is anyone else from Sri Lanka here, but you're not too common. And this audience obviously knows a lot about the benefits of Dagger. So I'm not going into the benefits of in general of Dagger, and any benefit that applies to anyone else that uses Dagger modules publicly still applies in an enterprise as well. And that's I think a big benefit of Dagger, because it works the same anywhere, and that's the big selling point of Dagger as well. So I've been involved because I want it to work the same way within a big enterprise company as mine as well. And we are a financial institution, and we have very strict audit and compliance requirements that we have to meet in whatever software we use or produce. So that's where some of this comes in, and I want Dagger to work in any company that has the same requirements. So some of the characteristics that affect Dagger are like corporate firewalls. So sometimes there are stricter requirements than even mine, that you can't be connected to the internet. You have to be inside. Everything that you do has to stay inside the company firewall, and also sometimes you can't even access the internet. I don't have that restriction here, but that is something that companies have. There's the corporate VPN that you have to deal with, that everyone has to connect to, and then there's companies may have proxies and specific CA certificates that you need to do like TLS bot and all of that good stuff. And most companies also have private Git instances. It could be on GitHub itself, but a private repository. That could be Bitbucket, GitLab, anything else, right? That companies use privately because they don't want to share the confidential code outside of the company. We use GitHub. Use GitHub, not GitHub Enterprise, but we use the private version of GitHub Cloud. So, and companies have container registries and artifact registries that are not public. We can't publish our code outside into a public repository, so we have our own internal registry, and that's a very common pattern in companies. Then comes like other security requirements, like mandates on the user that's running inside a container not being root. So it has to be always non-root. There's also other requirements like you can't run containers in privileged mode if you're hosting containers in an internal platform. So that's another restriction that comes in. Then the other thing is like in terms of Dagger, like caching, right? You can't, the data that gets cached by Dagger, that can never go outside of our network. So we can't directly use the Dagger cloud and the distributed caching goodness that comes with it. And then comes like other requirements like audit and retention requirements, which I'll go into a bit more detail here. So some of the challenges that I faced and I brought to the Dagger team are here. Most of them are accounted for because the Dagger team is awesome and they're really quick at addressing feedback. And there's stuff that's still in flight, and there's also stuff that's in the backlog being planned to be addressed in the future. One of the biggest, excuse me. Do you guys have questions about what I've talked about so far?
I'm waiting for it to get to the happy part.
This is the happy part, Jeremy.
It wasn't even that sad what I said.
What I think is really cool about the Dagger community, though, is there's people like yourself, and then there's we even talked to a few people. They built a whole entire guide yesterday, and their two users actually, one of them works in the finance industry, and so they have these requirements plus more, and it's just amazing because all of you are here on the ride with us, and also being very vocal about, hey, I want to use this, but I have XYZ requirements, instead of just walking away, and coming back later. And there's people like yourself and just so many others that we see in the community, and that's what's really cool, is it opens the dialogue, and it also really helps us build the proper roadmaps for users who are trying to get unblocked here. So I think this is helpful because it makes people feel not alone and that the community is still for them, even if there's certain things that they still might be blocked on. So thanks for sharing this.
Yeah, and definitely my advice to anyone listening is to, if you have any limitation within your company, just definitely bring it forward and either create an issue or create a thread on Discord and have a discussion about it, because chances are maybe there's a workaround that you don't know about, or there's, the Dagger team will put something in the backlog to address that concern. I
have a question about the Dagger sandbox point. Is that about container escapes? Is the fact that it's a container and or what is it, I guess?
Yes. So I guess I'll start with that point. The Dagger sandbox, yes, it's a generic term, but that just means in our company, I'm sure others have the same requirements. Like this is related to the audit and retention term that I, said in the last slide, where we need to know the execution environment of like a Dagger module, for example. Like did someone run this on their local machine, or did they run it on, let's say, somewhere like GitHub Actions or Jenkins, right? We need to know. That's just one piece of information, but there may be like other things that we would like to know for compliance reasons, as well as acting on that information further down, like something like a governance check that we do later on that that can prevent something malicious from getting into one of our production environments. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm
so
curious about
that's
that one in particular. Like have you been using the hotel feature to try and get that information, or I guess it's to know where it's running? You can do it at a layer above Dagger, I guess.
Yes, so I did look into the hotel spans that come out, and there's a lot of good information in there. So we're gonna evaluate that if that's sufficient. If not, definitely I'll bring that back.
Okay.
Cool. Ask for anything else that needs to be exposed. But yeah, hotel, that's a good way of gathering those metrics and details, telemetry basically.
I recognize all the other points, so I don't have. I mean, I have lots of thoughts, but I don't have any questions on the others personally because.
Awesome. Okay.
I recognize the list.
Yeah, let me just quickly go through the list, and
then
we can have a discussion. The private Git repositories, that's already being handled, worked on. I think it's coming in the next release, so I'm really excited for that. And I did do a test of like the dev engine to see if it worked, and it worked pretty seamlessly. So I'm excited to have that. Kudos to Guillaume. I'm sorry if I'm not saying his name correctly.
Yeah, Guillaume. Yeah.
Guillaume. Yeah. So
I think that's releasing tomorrow. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Awesome. Yeah, we've been waiting for a long time for that, and that's awesome. And to be clear, the private Git repository support is already there for SSH-based repositories, but within our enterprise, SSH is not allowed, and we use the personal access tokens. So that way of authenticating into Git was not possible before. And private registries, it's not, so when it's a public registry, it's just like ghcr.io or docker.io, like for container registries. It's just one endpoint that you have to worry about, but within a company there could be like a non-production, production, edge endpoint that you're supposed to use when you're not using it on your local machine. So handling that stuff can become a bit cumbersome. So that's something that I had to internally in the modules that I create had to handle. But it would be nice if there's a way to handle that more naturally with Dagger. But I've brought those points up in Discord as well. There was regarding setting and propagating CA certificates. I think so. I internally within my company, I haven't been able to run any of the public Dagger modules because, well, I don't want to say any. Like I tried to run the ones that are like in the official Dagger repo, like building the Dagger engine. I could not get that module to run because for some reason my CA certificate is not propagating properly. So that may be just a regression bug that can be fixed easily. But that's a challenge I've had. And to be fair, this was like originally was not even possible to have like custom CSRs and environment variables, and that was remediated a while ago. And there's, I think, even more improvements coming in that area where the user can configure that stuff on the client side without having to create a custom engine, Dagger engine to run, which is what I'm doing today, which I have a custom Dagger engine that has the CA certificates and our proxies to run. So that's awesome. That's coming. We talked about the Dagger sandbox, and so rootless and non-privileged. That's something that we don't necessarily have to deal with right now, but I think it's a discussion that we'll have to have with our security folks because right now you can't run Dagger in non-privileged mode.
That's the only one in this list that's not simply a matter of shipping features,
Right.
Like we're going through this list, as you know, and some of those items will soon be gone from the list, fingers crossed. And there were many others before that were on the list and now are not, This one I think is a little different, and it's related to the discussion we were having with the Jozu team just before that, the realization that it does container things, and that's not immediately obvious in the way we describe Dagger. I think it's related to this. And it's just an underlying best practices. It's a cross-functional problem of design, how we design Dagger, how we market Dagger, and how people actually want to use Dagger. It's a container engine. It runs containers, and we don't really lead with that because our goal in life is not to be compared to other container engines. But in order to get the job done, that's what we do. We orchestrate containers, and I think that when we have conversation with security teams, like we will with your security team, eventually.
Yeah.
That always comes up because it's just a completely different framing, and it actually helps frame the security conversation, because securing a container engine is very different from securing a CI runner that happens to run in a container. And at the moment, it's, if you just go through the standard flow of the docs and the discussions in the community, you can make the assumption that it's a cooler GitLab CI runner. It's a cooler act. That GitHub Actions thing is just different. Whatever, it's got an API, but from an architecture and security point of view, it's the same thing. So why the hell does it have to be privileged? But the reason is it's like the kubelet,
Right.
So that's really, I think we need to address that at some point. It feels like we're burying that fact too much for the sake of simplicity, and we probably need to just sort of own it. But yeah, it does. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if that. I know you know that.
Yeah.
But
it's
just this is a reminder of that fact for me, that there's a disconnect between how Dagger actually works and how security teams expect it to work because of how we present it.
Yeah. I agree. And that's a conversation, like a two-way thing, like between security here and the Dagger team.
Yeah.
So the next one, the next two actually. So I showed this to my colleagues, and that's something that came out of that kind of conversation that I forgot to add here, but I think they're important to talk about. The supply chain exploits. That's something that's just, it's not an issue with Dagger, but it's just Dagger can be run both on like local developer machines, so that's a typical like an attack vector for people trying to exploit, and companies are very worried about that, that being a place where someone can somehow sneak in and exploit into a production artifact. But yes, that's a concern. Dagger could maybe help there with like having like having an easy API, a way to do like something like attestation and stuff around that helps that use case. But I thought it's important to mention here because I kind of agree with that concern too, because if you just don't put those guardrails and run, it's definitely a way someone can exploit something and get that into production. Packaging mandates. That's because Dagger is also code, and there are certain ways we expect code to be handled. This is not a concern for me right now, like at least in my place, but it could be for others where there are certain mandates where any code that gets deployed or being used has to come from like an artifact registry. So how do we package if it comes to that, how do you package Dagger up as an artifact, like a module as an artifact, and treat that as just another application or code, and maintain it that way, versus just having it in source code. So I figured it's important to mention that, like, we haven't gotten to that place ourselves yet, or like have that kind of mandate ourselves yet, but it could come to fruition at some point. So I figured I'd mention that here as well. That's it for now. the list. Does anyone else have questions about this, or anything else in this?
I would love to hear how those challenges frame your use of Dagger today. I mean, you obviously use it and hope to use it more in the future, but
Yes.
the path you're taking is I guess it's constrained by your immediate use case, but also by those challenges. Like, what does the path look like? What's your Dagger journey?
Yeah, so I think that's a good good segue to this part. We've been using, so we had different teams in isolation, like building modules for Dagger, and using them in some capacity. I've been using it for anything I can use it, because I love Dagger, and I wanna use it, and I see the benefit, and I wanna like take it to everyone else also, so the whole company uses it too. And in that vein, I've created some modules. Like, one example is like a module that creates and publishes Docker modules to our private artifact registry. This handles some of the company requirements behind the scenes without the consumer having to worry about it, and it creates an easy interface. Rather than creating a Docker file, uses Dagger module to build and publish Docker modules to our artifactories, the containers we use to publish to that. So that's one. I've been building an end-to-end, like a CI/CD pipeline for Java. We have certain Java frameworks that we have in our company that has to have what we call paved paths. So like, it makes it very simple and straightforward for the end user who doesn't even have to know like code, or like how a pipeline looks, or any of that. It's just a set of configurations, and they set it up, and it just works. So far, all of that is just runnable inside our container CI orchestrator, right? So with Dagger, the benefit is that you can even run it locally now. So that's a huge benefit, and whoever I've shared it with, like they've liked it. So I'm glad to expand on that. And then we have a more enterprise level effort to we use Jenkins, and we have a massive common shared library that everyone in the company uses. So we want to we've started exploring Daggerizing that, because we want to bring the benefits of Dagger into that, and we're gonna run into some of the the challenges and questions that I posed earlier in this journey, but it's still early on. We are taking that journey, but I'm sure we'll come back to the Dagger team with challenges if there's stuff that's blocking us.
This is giving me an idea, because we're talking to, I'm not going to name any names, but we're talking to, there are large engineering organizations out there doing exactly that, replacing their entire Jenkins shared library with Dagger modules. And eventually we hope to publicly talk about it and have them share their experience with the world. But maybe in the meantime, they could meet with you and share their experience with you specifically Maybe
That
I
would
could
be
help.
awesome if you can,
I'll
if you can talk to people that are further down the journey on that, like save us a lot of time when we
definitely.
design this.
Yeah, I think originally when Nipun and I were talking about kind of this topic and bring it to the community call, obviously made me a little nervous because we're talking about a lot of things that we're still working on. But I also, on the community front we know a lot of people going through this type of stage, especially starting their POCs with Dagger. So we wanted to make sure people didn't feel alone, but also know that we're constantly continuing to support and communicate with Daggernauts and commanders like Nipuna, which it's like I said, really helpful for our roadmap planning and also getting people together as they're doing their POCs. They don't have to be alone, like Solomon mentioned. So
You're not alone, Nipuna.
Yeah,
It's not just you.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
It's not just you and all startups. I promise.
well, I was gonna say, as someone from past enterprise, trying to get any tool, no matter even if it's not as as strategic and large of a change as Dagger, can be hard. So
change is hard.
Good fight, and we're here to help. Basically, we don't want people to feel alone when they're going through that. So,
and Nipuna, did you like what we've heard from other folks is that they're trying to get off this Jenkins shared library because it's become kind of brittle, unmanageable, right? And like it's kind of alien technology at this point. Like the masterminds who concocted it are gone, or people forgot how it works, or if you do this one thing wrong, everything breaks. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, that's part of it. The other part is that we've abstracted a lot of like the core functionality into our ways of doing it, and it's become hard to manage. Like it's a lot of that's in Jenkins Groovy, first of all,
Right.
which is
it's like it's its own software project now.
Yeah, pretty much, and even that it's hard because it's not like these other languages like Go or Python or TypeScript, because there's like very little IDE support in developing that, and as always, because it's Jenkins, you kind of push and pray to to develop, so you waste a lot of time doing that. And if you get with Dagger, that'll be less, and it'll be working with actual programming languages, and it'll overall be beneficial, right? And we can shift some of the like the security things that we do inside the CI orchestrator Jenkins. We can, with Dagger, we're able to shift it even further left, right? Like it can happen in the local developer's machine, like security scans and stuff like that. That'll benefit, and it'll do Dagger like let's say it will benefit Dagger, like basically the story behind why we want to use Dagger. That'll be a big part of it.
Yeah, we definitely need to introduce you to some people because it's very, very similar. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm also excited just to make a connection here, but in a future where you have this internal Daggerverse kind of, hopefully it becomes easier to bring in new modules, because you're connected to this broader ecosystem. Like, okay, there's hopefully a more streamlined path for something like Kit, on the MLOps side to come in and be evaluated, and it's just another module. The tooling's the same, the APIs are the same. I mean, there's a lot of gates we need to go through here for that to be a reality for you, but that's what we're hoping to enable, because that friction for change that you're describing, it's each time for each new tool, right? That's the other thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so it's like Groundhog Day kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if you decide to go to GitHub Action at some point, then you had to rewrite the entire thing. So that's the motivation behind
right.
making everything common.
I had one more question, but I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, but you mentioned like running the pipelines locally. That's a popular thing when you show Dagger to other people on the team. What do they actually run typically? Like, do they run builds, tests, deployments, other? Like what do
Yeah,
they
so
actually do that locally that gets them excited?
It's the end-to-end. Like you could, at least the initial version that I created, you could do like from, let's say, if you take a Java application, you can like build, test, deploy it to a development environment and see the results like almost immediately. So that was a big.
So it's like end-to-end tests, so integration tests locally, and then deployment to like a dev environment.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is performance is runtime and performance of the integration tests an issue? The fact that they're running locally instead of like a CI cluster or something like that, does that come up, or maybe the local machine is more powerful than the CI server? That does happen sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. I think that has not come up yet, or at least the audience that I've shared this with. But I can see that being a thing because, like, I think Docker kind of runs slower on Windows. At least from my experience, it seems to be running slower than on a like a ARM-based Mac. So that may be something that that might come up when more people adopt it.
This is with what's it called, WSL2, like the.
Even then,
okay.
It's
but that's what you're using. You're using the latest Linux stuff on Windows.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The WSL2. I mean, it's not just Dagger. Like I've seen it with like dev containers.
Yeah.
They're slower on Windows than on the Macs. I don't know why, but they are. We don't have Linux, so we don't.
You'll be happy to know we're beefing up our Windows testing rig on our end. It's been a challenge, but we're gonna try and it'd be nice for us to see some numbers upstream when we release. Just know where we are and see if things get better or worse on Windows specifically. I mean,
This has been awesome, Nipuna. Thank you so much, Brad and Gergum, for joining us too. Really excited to hear everyone's feedback on trying out those modules. One of our really big data scientist fans, he couldn't make it today because his kid's birthday, but he wanted to join. So I'm excited for him to try that out and give a bunch of feedback on the general channel too. I know he's really excited for your modules. And Nipuna, thank you again. Maybe we need to start a channel for like enterprise like just mental support.
Yeah, you're right. The enterprise support group.
It's an emotional support group, but this is super helpful. I'm really excited to get this in the hands of other users who are in the same boat as you, purely for the fact that it will let them know there's other people we can connect the dots to and share knowledge with. So awesome. Thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful day for everyone who's watching.
Great.
I will share the full recording. You'll have it on YouTube, but I'll put it on our general channel, and then we will add the snippets to our demos channel in Discord too. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Soon.
Thank you.